Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Smog here, and today we'll be building a Chrome extension with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If it's your first time on the channel, kindly subscribe. We are trying to hit a goal of 1K subscribers. So I won't waste too much of your time. We'll just like get started into like writing the code. However, a disclaimer: this extension, someone has started working on it, but they were running into a bit of trouble, so I'll be helping them to fix it. So if it's your first time creating a Chrome extension, I think one of the things I would like to walk you through is how to install an extension that you are working or developing locally. So I'll come over here to extensions and click on manage extensions, then click on load unpacked, then basically just navigate to the folder containing that extension. So in this case, we have background changer extension. So I'm going to select that. And now the extension is installed. To use the extension, I'm going to click on the extension icon over here, and I'm going to look for background changer, and I'm going to pin it. So I'm going to come over here and click on this guy, and you can see that the extension is showing up now. But the problem is, let me come over, for example, and say, let me do Fort Canvas.co. Let me do Fort Canvas.co and click on the extension. If I click any of these buttons, you can see that it is not working. So that's what I'll be fixing like in this session. Also, one thing you could do if you're developing extensions is if you try to carry out an action and that action is not working, simply come over to the extensions tab. Then you will see that there's an errors button. Click on errors, and it most likely will show you what the error is, and that can help you in debugging the extension. So I'll come over to the code which has been cloned, and I'm just going to check out a new branch, and I'll just say git checkout to another branch and say AO fix by uh, fixes by Haremu. So, cool. Um, so where do we start from, right? I think, sorry, let me turn off WhatsApp. I think a good place to start while working on extensions is you kind of need to have some form of goal in mind, right? So, so right now we have this extension. So right now we have this extension, and it seems to be doing a lot right now. So what I would do is I will try and strip it down to do at least one thing. So instead of giving the users an option to be able to select various colors to start with, I will just give them the option that when they click any of these buttons, it's going to change to that color, right? So it's going to change to, let's say, maybe a color red or something. So I'll come over to the extension. We have manifest.json, basic setup, the pop-up.css, which basically influences the styling of the extension of the extension here, then popup.html for markup and popup.js for the interactivity. So we have a bunch of things here which the original developer of this extension has done, right? We have a function called doomsday. We have an async. We have an immediately invoked function element here. That's an IFE, right? I believe that's correct. So there seems to be a lot happening right now. So I'm going to strip it down to like a few things first. So first, I'm just going to have a button, yeah, and I'm just going to call it go to red. I'm just going to call it red. I'm going to call it ID of red button. So even beyond extensions, when you're working on projects, right, instead of creating all the full-fledged capability of that project, sometimes you want to just focus on one thing, make sure that it's able to do that one thing before you begin to like add some complexity on top of the project. So you have red button now. If I come back to the extension, so this is where I should come. If I come back to the extension, so we now have a new button here that says red. Good. So I'll come over to popup.js, and I'm going to select that button using query selector. So I'm going to say const red button equals document.query selector. I'm going to call it red button. Then I'm going to add a hash symbol because query selector works the same way CSS selectors work, right? Then I'm going to add an event listener to the red button and say add event listener. When the user clicks on it, click. Then I'm going to run an anonymous function or a callback, whatever you like call it. And I'm just going to alert something, say change the background to red. So again, when you are working on an application, don't try to build everything out. Don't immediately create a function and that function should then change everything to red or whatsoever. Just do something, alert something, console.log something before you begin to increase complexity. So I'm going to comment all of these guys out for now, then save it up and come over to the extension, then click on it. Let me leave the extensions page. Let me just do Google. Come over to the extensions page, click on this guy and click on red, and you say this guy alerts red button. Good. So the next thing we want to do is we want to be able to change the background color of the element. So I can simply come here and say document. I can say const. So yeah, so I can just select the body. I can just say document dot query selector body, right? Equals yeah, I can just do const website body or page body. Let me do page equals document dot query selector body. And I can just say page dot style dot background color, right, equals red. Save it up and let's see what happens. So I'm going to click OK here. Do we still have the alert? I'm going to comment out the alert, save it up, comment out the alert, and I'm going to click on this guy, then click on red. And you see what happens? It changes the background of the extension itself. And this is like a crash course into the way extensions work, right? Is if you're trying to do document dot query selector body, what you are selecting is the body of the extension, not the body of the tab that you are in within Chrome. So in order to do that, in order to access the page or the tab that you are in within Chrome, you need to run a tabs query. And in order to make that happen, in your manifest.json, simply add a permission for active tab in your manifest.json, and you'll be able to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this guy into an async function, right? And I'm going to say, so I'm going to say Chrome dot tabs dot query, right? So I'm running a query on all the tabs within the Chrome page, or yeah, within the Chrome browser. And I just want to target a tab, which is the active tab. So I would say this to be true, and the current window should be true as well, right? But this is not going to return anything at the moment. And I need to wait for this promise to resolve. Then this guy returns an array, and from this I can destructure the tab. So what that means now is I can now alert tab. So I'll just do JSON stringify, because I expect that tab should return an object, which is all the properties of the tab itself. So JSON.stringify tab, save it up, and let's see what this gives us. So let's stop changing the background color for this guy right now. So come over here, click on this guy, and you see this gives us all the property of the currently active tab. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now run a script on this particular page in order to change the background color of the page instead of the background color of the extension. And the way that works is you need to enable Chrome to be able to access, to be able to run scripts within your tabs. And that happens in your manifest.json. So if you come over to permissions, you just need to add scripting to your permissions with your manifest.json. You'll be able to run scripts within tabs on in what do you call it, for your Chrome extension. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do chrome.scripting scripting.execute script. So I want to execute a script. So where do I want to execute the script? You need to set a target, right? And that target is going to be an object, and no, yeah, it's going to be an object, and it's going to have a key of tab ID, and the tab whose ID we want to run the script on is this tab that we've gotten here. So I'm going to do tab ID dot tab ID, right? Then the next thing is the function we want to run on here. So I'm going to do func, right? And I'm going to say, I'm going to do func, and I'm going to say func, Then I'm just going to run a function in here, and I'm just going to say I'm going to run this guy, which is what we are running before now. On page equals this, then the page style dot background equals that. Save it up and let's see what this gives us. I expect a few errors. If it works fine, well, it's my lucky day. So let me see if there is no alert. Let me comment that out. Then come over here, then click on red. Okay, this is not the best example. Let me just use for an existing website. Maybe something like, yeah, something like this. Click on this guy, then click on red. So nothing is happening. Cool. And what I'm going to do is check the extensions page and see what the error could possibly be. So come over to manage extensions and let's see what the error is. So it says clear all. Let me come over here. Let me run the extension again. Background changer red. I want to see what the error is. And it's saying, so it says uncut promise scripting.execute script is not a function. So I guess so for this, let's just check the Chrome docs. But I'm getting it should be Chrome dots. So Chrome extension scripting. So Chrome.scripting. So I just want to see and confirm that I'm using the correct thing. So okay, yeah. So Chrome.scripting execute scripts. Chrome.scripting.execute scripts. It's a function. It accepts a target. That is correct. Then the tab is the tab ID. So yeah, it's accepting files, but I've definitely worked with func. Yeah, so this is func, and that is working. So I guess I'll just copy this line just to be sure that if I had made a mistake, it is from my hand. So let me see. It seems there was a change. No, there wasn't any. A worst case scenario, let me just await. So if it returns a promise, then I need to wait for the promise to resolve. Okay, so let's come back here. Click on this guy, then click on red. Let me come to the extension, clear all, go back here, then refresh this guy, then come back here, and this is the correct thing, red. So it's still returning an error. Okay, it's no longer returning an error. Okay, yeah, and it changes to red. So yeah, and this guy changes to red. So of course, some elements, what we are changing is the background of the body itself. There are some elements, let's say for example, this is a div or a section which the developer has put a background color of white to. You definitely cannot touch that. What we are just doing is changing the background color of the body itself. So in order to make things better, what you could do is probably like look for all the elements. Maybe okay, let me see if I can make this weird. So document.query selector all, and it's not going to work, or it probably will just work for the first element on the page, right? So let's see. Now let me click on this guy. Let me click on this guy and click on red. Okay, yeah. So it's really not going to work because this select and just like if it's going to pick the first element, which most likely will be the body, and it just changes the background color. So, but that's not like why we are creating this extension. This extension is basically to allow you change background color to like any of these colors, right? So we just kind of focus on that and we'll not try to like do it for all the sections on the website. So yeah, so we're able to get this function to run. However, I want to do something. I want to create another function. I guess I will just remove all of these guys. I'll just remove all of these guys for now, because I may not be needing that code. Then I'm going to begin to extract. So I'm going to extract this function into something else. So I'm going to call it const change background color, right? And I'm just going to make it this. cuts, then pastes. Then the function, of course, now will be change background color. Let's see and confirm that this is still working. So I need to look for a website that is not as heavy as this. Then click on this guy, then click on red, and you can see everything turns to red. Amazing. So that means that the function is still working. So now the next thing we want to do is we want the user to be able to select from the list of colors that we have here. So we are still going to do that in here. Oh, some people have dropped comments. Let me check what people are saying. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Love what we are doing. Thank you so much. Welcome, guys. If it's your first time on the channel, kindly subscribe. We are trying to hit 1K subscribers. Help us achieve that goal. So yeah, so here's what we have so far. You're able to change the color to red. But what I want to do right now is when you select any of these colors, you are able to change to that particular color, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check within the markup and see what the color grid looks like. So we have all of these colors, right? And they have a class of color, 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 color. So I'm going to come here and say that const colors equals document dot query selector all, and I'm just going to call this color, right? Color. However, I'm not, so the way the query selector, so then dot color, it should not just be color, it should be dot color because they all have a class of color, right? So what I would do now is I need to loop through all of these colors because let me just do something, right? If I say okay, yeah, there's no way to do it, but I can just do, so this is going to return an array. When you do a document.query selector all, it's going to return an array. And when the user clicks any of this color, you need to attach some form of event or some form of function to them, right? So I can just do colors dot for each. So for each color, or as you go through each color, right, I'm going to say color button, right? And I'm just going to say color button dot add event listener, click, right? Then I'm going to run an anonymous function here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to I'm going to run the change background color function, right? I'm going to run the change background color function. So let me bring it up. I'm going to run the change background. So as you loop through each of the color buttons, you want to change the background color when you click on it, right? So right now, I'm just going to do, I'm basically just going to do the same thing for all of them. So, oh, okay, yeah. So what that means is the change background function, we now need to expand. So here's what I'm saying. So change background color. If I save this up right now, it's actually not going to work. Where is this guy? So let me refresh this guy. Click on change background color. Click on red. Okay, yeah, of course, because the event listener and the change background color still exist. But if I try to click on any of these other buttons, say this yellow, for example, see, it changes the background color of this guy. Why? Because that script or that function is not running on the active tab. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take all of this function inside of the event listener, right? I'm going to take this guy and I'm just going to take this guy. Yeah, I'm going to take everything here. And just going to move it in here, then save it up. Then of course, this will be an async function. So save this guy up, then refresh this page, then come over here and click any of these guys and they should change. So clicking on any of these buttons now changes the color to red. But that's not what we want. What we want is when you click on any of these buttons, it should change the color to the color of that button. But you know what the problem is right now? The problem right now is that there is no unique identifier for any of these buttons. And the way the original developer had worked on this is by selecting the nth child of each element. So when you're trying to manipulate, okay, I don't know if manipulate is the word, but when you're trying to create something like this that has a lot of selectors, right, you want to have a unique identifier for each one. So instead of saying nth child, I'll come here and add a new attribute to each of these colors, right? So let me see what the colors look like. So you have yellow, you have black, you have red, you have blue, then this looks like red and all of that. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a new attribute here and I'm going to call it color. You can do that in HTML, it's valid. So I'm going to come over here, right? And I most likely would prefer to use an hexadecimal color in this scenario. So I'm just going to do to RGB to X converter. I'm just going to look for an RGB to X converter to ensure that I'm able to attach the color of each color button. I'm able to attach the color of each color button to each of the buttons as an attribute. So, yeah. So where is our converter? RGB to X converter. So that this will definitely take a minute. So just pardon me. Let me minimize VS Code so that hopefully this will be faster. Minimize VS Code, then minimize the browser. Minimize the browser. Cool. All right, cool. So let me take this guy here, popup.css. So for this guy, this is 0255, then 166, convert to X, then copy, then come over to the markup. Then I'm going to say, so the color is now going to be this. Then I'll probably just do for 3 to ensure that we're not taking too much time on this live stream. 208, 208, then 0, convert. Please, if you have any questions, please do drop them in the comment section. Um, color. Then I'm going to put that in there. Come over here to this guy. This is black. So I'm just going to do 0, 0, then convert to X, then copy that and add this guy and say that the color is that. Cool. So I'm going to remove these other buttons, right? I'm going to remove this button as well, just to ensure that we are not taking too much time on this live stream. So I save this up now and I come over to extensions, click on this guy. You see that we now have 3 extensions. If I click any of these colors right now, all of them, everything is still changing to red. So what I'm going to do is if I come over to popup.js, right, I can now come here and say, I can now come over here and say that, so we are looping through each of the color buttons, right? So I can now come here and say, and get the, I can now come over here and get the attribute of color on that color button. So basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come over here, right? I'm going to say, let color button. I'm just going to say color button. I'm okay. Yeah. So I don't want to use color button color. That would sound like tautology. I'm just going to say the color equals color button color. What's happening? Color button dot get attributes. I'm going to call it color. Right. Then on click, what I want to do is I want to alert the color. So let's save that up and let's see what this gives us. Come over here, then alert. So you see now we have the value for the color. Now we have the value for the color. Then click on OK, right? So what that means is we can now accept the background color as a value or as a variable rather I see there's a comment. Is it a question? The idea was to use on a node list of elements and update the background color. Is this possible? Okay, we'll probably try that. We'll probably what do you call it? We'll probably try that out. So like I mentioned, like we are just trying to like start small, then we can kind of expand down the line. Sure you get. Um so we'll just like expand on it down the line and let's see like where that gets us. So first, like, let's see how we can get all the colors to even change to like the desired background color. Then later on, we can then change the background color of all the elements. So right now, so I'm just going to say accept. I'm just going to say BG color. Uh, sorry, let me stop running this banner. So I'm just going to say BG color, right? And I'm going to say I expect that there should be a bug of some sort here, right? Then BG color, then this should be BG color. Then this accepts BG color. I do not expect this to work, but if it works, that would be a miracle. So yeah, let's see. Background color. Yeah, it's not working. So let's see what the issue or the error is. So if you come over to extensions, come over to manage extensions, and let's see errors. So it says promise BG color is not defined. Oh shit. So this should be the color. We are passing the color to BG color. So let me clear all the errors. So like I said, like the Chrome dev tool, right, or the extensions page is so nice that you can easily trace where your error is and just fix it up, right? Of course, that's if you know what's going on, right? So I'll come over here, then refresh this guy, continue, refresh this guy, then come over here, select this color, and let's see what it gives us. Change background color, and yeah, so I totally expected that to happen. Now, okay, so let me see, just to be sure that, so alert the color, right? Then we are targeting it in here and all of that. Okay, cool. So the way to solve this, and this is like one of the things that you see in the Chrome, like if you are learning how to build Chrome extensions, essentially, like this is literally like one of the first things that you'll be taught is instead of storing, because this color is actually in the context of your extension, right? Not in the context of the page. So you need to store the extension's color or the color that you want to change the background to into Chrome's local storage. And Chrome's local storage is very similar to the way local storage and session storage works, like in your browser. So what I'm going to do now is each time we execute a script and we say change background color, right? And so, okay, yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. So hold on, let me backtrack and let's see what's happening here. So we have alert color, we have this, right? Then we have BG color equals this. I believe this should not be wrong. So let me just say this guy is red by default. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So let's see what happens. Okay, so nothing is happening. Okay, I have to put parentheses in here. Come over here, background color, and it changes to red. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out Chrome scripting, Chrome scripting, Chrome scripting. And let's see what that is going to give to us. So func gets title. So I want to see. Okay, yeah. So this is how we are supposed to pass arguments to it. I just think that something was wrong with the syntax. So I'll just do args. I'm going to say okay, yeah, background color, then the color. Let's confirm that background color, the color. Now let's see what happens. Let's use this on Chrome itself. And boom, it works. Yep. So it works. So it works now. Let's change to another color. It changes to black. Let's change to green. Boom. It works. Yeah. So now, one thing we can do now is how do we get, so one thing we can do to further improve this is, I don't know how this is going to work. I probably we even like we even like make a huge amount of mistakes like trying to do this, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Is can we change the background color of every element on this page? So what I'm going to do is I am going to, so instead of saying page, right, I'm going to select all elements, right? I'm going to say const all elements on page equals document dot query selector, then asterisk. This should select all elements on page, at least according to the way CSS works. Then, okay, I guess I should just show this guy on the side so that if anybody joins the stream, they see what we are building on the side, right? And also, like if it's your first time on this channel, please kindly subscribe. We are trying to hit 1K subscribers. So let's get to it. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to alert all elements on page dot length. So this gives us the length of all elements on page. Save it up and come over here, then click on this guy. It shows that it says undefined. So now I need to look for a JavaScript way to select all elements on page and change the background color. So change, okay, select all elements on page with query selector. So it says query selector all. So query selector element. So let me do query selector all. Let me do query selector all. Is somebody yeah, it worked. So if there's anyone in the chat who knows how to select all elements on a page in with JavaScript with query selector, please kindly share in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to get that feedback. So come over here, then I'm going to click on this guy and let's see what that gives us. Oh, 351. Yeah, so I needed to do query selector all. Okay, now this is not an optimal solution, right? But if we have all the elements on page, we can basically do elements on page dot for each element, right? We can say element, right? Then we can do element. So basically we can just do elements dot page dot style dot background color equals bg color. This is not an optimal solution, like I've mentioned. So I'm going to comment this guy out now, then save it up. Now let's see what this gives us. So if I click on green now, it shows that, and it doesn't work. Okay. Oh, I said dot page. It should be dot style. That's probably the reason it didn't work. I'm beginning to lose faith in myself. Damn. So good. And every element on the page now, their background color changes to yellow. Let me try for black. Everything turns to black, green, and everything changes to green. Yeah. So ways to improve this code, like this element selection, I can't think of a way to optimize this right now, but if there's a way to optimize it, I would just probably share in the comment section or probably in the description post session. But one thing I would like to do, or one thing I'm really interested in, is what if we don't want to change the color immediately the element is selected, right? What if we don't want to change the color immediately? Let's say you want to see, okay, we have a preview already, so that use case can work. But in the case of, let's say, a color picker, for example, right? We definitely don't want to change, or maybe we want to, right? We most likely don't want to change the color immediately. A color is selected. Maybe we want the user to select a color. Then after that is when we want to now change the background color. Should I try and attempt to do that, or we should do a part two of this live stream, or I should just go and enjoy life? I think I'm willing to give it a shot, right? So disclaimer: I've never worked with a color picker before in HTML, so I'm just trying to give this a shot, right? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say const color picker equals document dot query selector, right? Color picker document.query selector color picker. Then I'm going to come over to the HTML to see it has an ID of color picker. It has an ID of color picker. It has an ID of color picker. Save it up. Then I'm going to add an event listener to it. I'm going to say add event listener. Dot. I'm guessing on change dot change should be an event for something like color picker because the value is going to change like when you move, right? So for now, I'm just going to do an actually do a console.log of console.log of color picker dot value, right? It's an input, so it's expected to have a value. Then let me come over here. I'm going to reload this guy again. Come over here, change the color. Then I'm going to come over to the extensions page, manage extensions. So it's showing an error. Let me clear all of this guy out. That has been solved. Let me come over here again and click on this guy, select color, and let's see what that gives us. Okay, so there are no errors, but let me see. Color picker HTML. If I'm unable to figure out how to get the color, then it's pointless. That's not what I'm interested in. So color picker events, JavaScript, HTML. I guess anyone who is watching this, you see that nobody actually has all of these things figured out. Like I'm literally like using Google to solve my problem. So it's okay to check Google. It's okay. Like nobody has most of these things figured out a lot of times. So okay, yeah. So it's on change. So it's an on change. So okay. Okay, on open we have an on change, right? Okay. So I need to pass an element to this. So I'll just say the color picker, the color picker, the color picker. Okay, color picker. So you have color picker. Oh, sorry. This is an external library, not vanilla JavaScript. So let's see what MDN docs is saying. Oh, okay. Yeah. So CSS input value equals that. And then color tracking color changes. Document add event listener. So okay. I'm not sure I want to go through this stress. So there is an event listener for input. Then watch. Okay. Watch color picker. That's document. Okay. E dot target the value. Oh wow! I can't believe I made that mistake. So I need to pass an event here. I'll just do E. and I'm going to do e dot target dot value. That's how I get the color. Cool. It worked. Yep. It worked. It worked. Yeah. If it's your first time on the channel, kindly subscribe. Yep. So e dot target the value, and nobody could spot that. Wow. E dot target the value. So let me see this. Come over here, then click on this guy, then come over here, and I've changed the color. Let me come over to the extensions. Oh, it's not logging anything. So let me just do an alert instead. Let me just do an alert. That way we're able to confirm if the color is changing. So let me change. Oh, it's not working. So it says, aha, okay, yeah, background color changer. So the color changed. Oh, nice. So the color is changing. The color is changing. The color is changing. The color is changing. So I think it's until you click out. Oh, it's until you click out. That's when it changes the color, which makes a lot of sense. So what that means is I can simply come over here, right, and click on, then I can run this. I need to run the script in the background again, right? I need to run the scripts in the background. So basically I will just copy and paste this guy for now. I'll just copy and paste this. I'll probably abstract it to a function later. I'll just copy and paste this guy for now. I'll just copy and paste this guy. Come over to the color picker. Then I'm going to make it an async function, of course. Then come over here, paste this guy in here. Then the argument now will be e.target.value, right? Save it up. Then let's come over here. So we now have a color picker that we can use to pick any colors that we want. So let me change to maybe blue. Then when you click out, it changes this. What is happening here? Oh, shit. I need to load the extension again. Come over here. Then click out. And you see the color changes. Boom! Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Thank you for coming to my live stream. And that's it, guys. That's how you build a simple Chrome extension that changes the background color of any website. I wanted to say in the world, but I think it should work for any website in the world. Let's try Google. Google.com. There are probably more optimal ways to do this thing, but it is what it is, right? It's working, and that's what that really matters. You can see we are changing the background color of Google. If you are joining this live stream and it's your first time on this channel, did you find this helpful? Was this insightful? Please subscribe and help us hit 1,000 subscribers. That's the end of this live stream. I'll probably do a follow-up live stream to yeah, there's no follow-up live stream. It works, and that's it. So I'll be pushing this code and probably be linking to GitHub so that anybody who wants to mess around with the code can mess around with it. Cheers, and don't forget to build like a boss. Bye.